Don't know how to start. I haven't done one of these in a while. So had a little minor setback, a little bump in the road, if you will. 2 Mondays ago, I had to go in for surgery to have my appendix removed, which not all that big of a deal, but it has pushed me back a little bit in terms of where I wanted to be on some things, prep wise in the whitetail woods. They gave me a weight restriction and told me I had to be very careful about keeping the incisions from the surgery very dry and clean, and so they wouldn't get infected or anything like that. And my weight restriction has been nothing over 10 pounds. I can't lift anything over 10 pounds for 2 weeks, which my 2 weeks will be up next Monday. The only thing about that is my wife and I and our little girl, we leave for vacation in Colorado tomorrow morning. So I wanted to get out and check a few cameras that I wasn't able to do last week because I was laid up for most of last week and been kind of slow moving from the surgery. So no hanging stands or anything like that. I haven't been able to move stands or really trim anything, or I've been very limited on what I've been able to do. So try not to get super stressed out, but I feel like I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball just because of not being able to do anything last week and this past weekend. It's kind of pushed back a whole week's worth of projects and stuff that I wanted to try to get done, but that's okay. I mean, we'll manage, we'll get it done. But anyway, I am actually on the Wally farm. We call it the pond draw, but ever since the Wally saga, I guess from last year, I've just, every once in a while I call it the Wally farm. But typically this property, what we've learned over the last couple of years in the summertime is that it just does not produce in the summer. It's a very small property. So that is the reasoning behind it not producing very well in the summertime. There is ag on this property, but they just have better places to feed and a lot more cover elsewhere. My plan today, though, is I'm going to start setting the trap for Wally. I mean, that's why I'm out here. I'm going to check those 2 spots. I'm going to move one of those cameras. I'm going to put up a cell, and I'm going to put another Reconyx up over here. I've only got one stand up over here, and that's one that Jonathan and I hung last year, and we just left it. That's actually the stand that I shot Wally out of last season. But as far as any of the other stands, I've got at least 3 more stand sites that I want to get set up over here. And typically I would have started setting those up by now. But like I said, I had this little bump in the road that kind of set me back a little bit. So I still don't expect to see him for a while. I don't expect him to really make an appearance on this property, at least until the end of September at the very earliest. But I suspect he will be, assuming he's still alive, which we got pictures of him late in the year last year. Just judging from past trail camera data and past history with him, I don't expect him to be back on this property until the beginning of October. Last year, he didn't show up over here, ran cameras over here all summer long, and he didn't show back up on this property last year until I think it was October 4th, and then we had him again on the 6th. The year before, I don't think he showed up until October 7th. So I expect it to be around that same time frame this year when he shows back up. I expect it to be within that first week to 10 days of October. And typically when he shows back up and is utilizing this part of his home range again, with this family group of does here, and him knowing that the rut is around the corner, and it's coming up pretty quickly at that point, he really utilizes this part of his home range at that point. When he shows back up, typically he's pretty regular on this property from October on at least through November. That's what makes it super hard. What's going to make it, very difficult hunting this deer again this year, which is why I've said in previous videos, I don't know that I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket just yet because of the whole saga last year, how crazy everything got, the ups and downs, and just how stressful it got. And I don't know that I want to put myself through that much stress again this season, but this deer is probably, assuming he's alive, is definitely probably going to be at the top of my list going into the season again. So we'll see. I mean, that's to be determined, but just with that history there and having shot him last year and chasing him basically all season last year until I couldn't anymore, all that ties into just an epic storyline that I've kind of got going with this buck. So we'll see how all that plays out going forward. But by the time we get back from vacation, I will be about a month away from hopefully getting new pictures of Wally for this year and seeing what he looks like, and then planning the hunt from there and then going from there. So starting to set the trap now. So I'm going to rip around here, get some of these cameras up, get these mock scrapes done up and freshened up. And yeah, I can't believe we're getting to last week of August right here. So a little bit over a month, and October 1 is going to be here. So man, I cannot wait. I am so pumped. Somebody might just kill a booner from this spot. I'm gonna go ahead and predict it. Got the first set hung on the Wally farm. We're back in one of the trees. Actually, this is the very first tree that I hung a set in on this farm. It's been a good spot for us over the last couple of years. It's right on this pond dam. I actually contemplated moving, not putting a set back up in this spot this year and slightly adjusting it to, there's a walnut right here, probably 20 yards behind me on the edge of this pond here, and that tree, the access would be good, but it's not going to give you the opportunities that this tree will.
that tree, you're basically just going to be hunting this little spot right out here to the south of me, which is just some like overgrown canary grass, some cedars dotted in here. A lot of these does bed up back in here on the banks, on the hillsides that run down to this pond, because it gets real thick and nasty. And the draw is right over here, and this pond dam is right behind me. You can see this tree is growing out of the bank of this pond and right on the edge of this pond dam. So this spot, it's really, really tight to where a lot of the travel is on this property during the rut. If a buck comes cruising through here, it's going to be, I mean, this is one of those spots where it's almost like a trad bow spot. It's very, very tight. There's a trail coming right down this pond dam that we put a camera on every single year, and that's what I'm getting ready to do now, is get one more trail camera set up over here and have it on this pond dam. I'm going to make a mock scrape right there. But these bucks will travel this pond dam back and forth. There's a big trail running it. What we've learned from hunting this spot over the last couple of years is that if you see them out here on these hillsides, just on the other side of this pond, and they work to the north, typically it's almost guaranteed they're going to come right down this pond dam. So you better grab your bow and get ready, because if they do and they pop out there, it's going to be like a 10-yard shot. I mean, they're going to be right in your lap by the time you're able to get an open shot from this spot right here on this pond dam. But in addition to that, and having a chip shot right here below you, from this spot I can also shoot this hillside back here behind me. I can even get this hillside that goes up to the crop field to the south of me here, and it's only like 35 yards to the edge of that crop field, which last year in the morning on November the 6th or 7th, I was set up on the west side of this property, and I watched Wally walk the edge basically of where this pond comes out and meets where all this grassy area around the pond meets the edge of that crop field. He walked that edge. Had I been set up in this stand, I would have got like a 30 to 35 yard shot at him from this spot that morning. But I mean, this spot just offers up so many different opportunities, and that's why ultimately I decided to come back here, because one, the access is great. There's plenty of low cover here hanging off this shingle oak. It's a small shingle oak tree that the stand is actually in, but the shingle oak has all this cover, and obviously there's all kinds of cover on the edge of the pond that allows you to slip right in here perfectly, get up the backside of the tree, and you're ready to go. Like I said, this property's so small, even when the leaves come off of these trees, you can see straight through this draw to the north side of the property, which is basically, you can see all the way to the property line almost. Anyway, I'm pumped to finally get one of these stands, one of these sets hung back over here on the Wally farm. Other than this one, we've only got one other stand that we actually left hanging here last year as sort of a permanent location, and that was the stand that I shot Wally out of last year. So we need to check that one, make sure the straps and everything are good, probably trim a couple of lanes. But other than that, got this one up, and there's 2 or 3 other spots that we're going to want to hang some sets in on this property. But feels good to finally get out and get a stand hung over here, because after my little minor setback and everything, I was getting a little antsy only having the one set stand over here and not having any of these more mobile setups that were already set over here on this property. So then I'm going to get this camera set up on this pond dam on a mock scrape like we normally have, and then I've got 1, 2, 3 cameras to check, and then I'm getting out of here. So anyway, good day.